I know a lot of you are sick. I know a lot of you are complaining that things are lingering and it doesn't matter what you take and it's not going away and you have COVID or then it's not showing up as COVID. I get it. I've been sick for over a month and I don't know why. I just know that we need to be talking about it more, okay? Because that's how you figure things out, all right? So I have the person who is part of the community that is going to get us to a better place, Dr. William Li. The author of the New York Times best-selling book, What to Eat to Beat Disease, the new science of how your body can heal itself. Now, Dr. Li, you and I have been friendly. You've been helping me from the beginning. You were one of the first people to ever say long haul to me, or that, well, maybe this is why. When I was trying to get better and I was like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know where my keys are. You were saying, we're seeing this. So long haul, long COVID, whatever you want to call it. Do you believe now, as you're developing your understanding, that there is something that we have to be looking at?
Absolutely. Long COVID is what we experience for people 4 weeks later after having an initial bout with COVID. They're not better. And they're not better in over 100 different ways. And everyone is a little bit different. We now know at the cellular level what's actually happening is kind of scary if you actually take a look at it. And the number of people affected range from less than 1% to 30%. We haven't pinned it down yet, but we're beginning to peel back the layers of the onion to look at what the problems might be.
So you don't think this is, look, people get sick. You're getting older. Sometimes it takes longer. You know, don't look to slap a label on everything.
Listen, most people who experience COVID today, it's a different disease than in 2020. Most people have mild symptoms and they get better. But there is a substantial portion of people who don't get better. And in fact, some people who get tragically worse. I personally know people who have become incapacitated mentally, physically, emotionally. It's overwhelming, and it's actually kind of changed their lives completely.
Now, the next step is, okay, so you had COVID. You got over it. You thought you were better. Yeah. But then, and this is really where I come into it, but you don't respond to illnesses the same way after that. It seems like, you know, I get anything that comes into my house. I now get, and it didn't used to be like that. And anything I get, I need to treat with meds. I can beat nothing. So they gave me the shots. You remember when they were giving me like the meningitis shots or whatever to try to build my natural immunity, and my arm blew up and my IG levels just stayed low. Then I had those DEXA. Look, I'm lucky, right? I got money. I got access to all these great people, so I get a lot more testing. I lost bone density from COVID. Rare for males who lift weights to lose bone density, you know, in their late 40s, 50s. I never got it back. Now, could that just be me, aging athlete or whatever, or are you hearing indications of we got to look at this?
I think that COVID is a brand new human disease, and it's giving us the clues because everybody got synchronized by getting infected at the same time to look at what some of these underlying problems are. We know, for example, that blood vessels are affected. 60,000 miles of blood vessels in our body. That's a big deal if you're actually having problems with them, right? We know that nerves get disconnected in the brain. They literally just unhook in the brain.
And that's the fog.
We see that, and we think that can attribute to brain fog. This week, there was a publication that showed that the fatigue can be muscle fatigue because the mitochondria, the energy cells of your muscles, could be affected. We don't know who gets affected, but we do know when they do get affected, it can be really profound.
Now, the hope is here. Now, the answer that we don't have, which I wish we did, but that's why we have to do a series, is, and that's why Dr. Li has Dr. Li's special tonic. If you take this, it goes away. We don't have a fix other than to be healthy enough so that you don't get sick in the first place, and that's where your book comes in. But you say this has to be studied because there are too many people for it to be paranoia, and you believe that it's a window into the reality of viral illnesses from the flu and other things that we may have stumbled on to something we've been living with as a systemic issue that we never identified.
That's right. We now know that there is actually something called long flu because long COVID made us actually take a look at it. We know that diseases like mono can lead to long-term consequences, including, neurodegenerative diseases that we never expected, hepatitis, HPV. This is an opportunity for us to discover new things based on what is happening with COVID. A lot of people don't want to think about COVID anymore. As a researcher, as a physician, as somebody who takes care of and sees sick people, it is an opportunity we cannot pass up. We have to dig into this.
Well, look, I'd love to never think about it again. It's just people keep getting it.
Right.